Arash Madani, you're probably on hold there, waiting for us while we're talking to Logan Ferland. Nice move by the Riders front office, hey?
Absolutely. What I like most about it, and I think RP touched on it, is just how proactive they were on this. Look, like, you cannot find quality offensive linemen on either side of the border anywhere unless you're going to absolutely overpay for them. And that rarely happens because very few of them get to free agency, or you're able to draft them. And the fact that Logan was nowhere near free agency and you get ahead of that and you have him locked up and there's going to be continuity for a guy who can play multiple positions on your line, who gives you positional versatility and flexibility. Believe me, this is not hyperbole. I think it's one of the better moves of the O'Day regime. When you think about the moves they've made, this is such a smart, down the road, visionary extension. I really like what they did there.
That's what I was going to say. I'm waiting for where are all the pigeons that are always harping on the moves that they're making and what are they doing and all this? Hey, fantastic move here. Let's call a spade a spade. I don't know if this is a fantastic move, but it sounds like we have a commissioner that the owners, the board of governors, have their guy.
Yeah. I started hearing some rumblings about this late last month, and you just never know with these things because, look, what we know about the Board of Governors is just getting them to get to any kind of consensus on anything is the biggest challenge of all, let alone the one they're going to put in the big chair moving forward, which is probably why it's April and it's not officially a done deal yet. But I get we live in a streaming service world. And I get that a lot of leagues are moving towards Amazon and Netflix and, MLS with Apple TV and the rest. The CFL is not there quite yet. And as a domestic league without any U.S. Franchises, this is a broadcast deal and really a TV deal that's paramount for this league to get done. Because once it expires at the end of 26, the guy beside you, Barney, will tell you that money is the lifeblood of the league. The $5 million that each team gets, if they don't have that, there is no Canadian Football League. So to have Stuart Johnston, who understands and has been in the meetings with all of the teams, the league office, has intimate knowledge on how the league operates, how the teams operate, the financials, and then has been with Bell Media forever, so knows from a telecom standpoint, a broadcaster standpoint, what they're looking for, what the needs are, what the CRTC ramifications and all this are. This is the way to make sure that you're going to get yourself a deal. Because my biggest concern with the Canadian Football League's economic health was what's going to happen after 26 if there aren't interested parties at the table. Now, if Stu Johnston ends up becoming the commissioner, and all signs are pointing that he will, if that's going to end up happening, that is a major ally for the league to get a television deal that can have streaming components with it.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating for sure seeing that coming out and all those connections that you just alluded to there, Arash, for sure. And also, I'm not convinced that slicing up the pie makes that pie more valuable. I think the most value is in exclusivity. You want a broadcast partner that's going to be willing to talk about your league essentially on a daily basis, have all the broadcasts in the weekend. I'm in agreement that I don't think they're quite at a spot where they could give a game or two up to a streaming service and kind of lose that connection with your exclusive broadcaster. But interesting to have someone.
I don't think though, Ryan, let me just stop you. I don't think there's a streaming service interested. And I don't think there's much of a pie out there anymore, right? Like as we sit here in April of 2025, what other national broadcaster is willing to write that check right now and would have the appetite or desire to do it? I don't know if that exists. I really don't in today's kind of media ecosystem. So that's why this is a necessity. If the look, you look around at the leagues that have streaming service deals. They are either they're US based with some Canadian franchises, a Canadian only league with 9 teams. I'm not sure that there's anywhere else that would have interest really in putting in the production necessary to do it.
I don't think, I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago when I was talking with the local guy. I don't think this deal, I think it might be the next one where that comes into play. But like Arash says, who's going to come to the table?
Right.
Like, is anybody even going to be at the dance with you? Like, you look at Crave. Well, it's owned by Bell. Like, what do we have for independence in this country? And is it going to get even less to maybe it is only one person? And I don't, our broadcast rules in this country are really weird. I don't even want to get started in that and what the CRTC forces.
Not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but just a little bit on how the sausage is made. It's not just the rights fees that benefits the CFL here. So each team, like, what is it, a $50 million a year, give or take. So each team gets $5 million. But understand that every single game that is broadcast, the cost of doing business for each of those games is around $75,000 to fire up a production truck, to get yourself a crew, to get yourself travel and staff and all those kinds of things. 75 grand a game, give or take, times around 100 games. That's a sizable check of the production of the game to put it on national television at a decent level. So, if you start farming that out, who has the appetite and the desire to spend the money to produce the games, then spend the money on the rights fees, especially if it's an unknown in terms of what your ROI is going to be. So I think that's an important part to kind of consider there.
For sure. Like, wearing 2 hats in this industry and learning both sides of the business, for me, it would be fascinating to say, all right, let's open the books. How does this all make sense? Mm-hmm. Because the production, and you went $75K a game. I probably would have even went higher than that. Like, it is an undertaking.
Add in the spider cam, you can almost double that.
That's right.
Glenn Suter's pregame rituals.
Hey, one more, though, before we move off this topic, Arash. Do you think there's a chance, though, that Stewart comes in and flips kind of the conversation to say, we have to raise our level because this is what our broadcast partner expects? And here's maybe some shortcomings, for lack of a better word, that they've felt there is. So we need to fill this in order to create that value to continue the longevity of this partnership.
I tell you what, it's a great point, Ryan. Like, I think if Stuart Johnston kept to himself a notebook of all the blind spots over the last 15 years that can be improved upon, that notebook's probably pretty thick. And these are the different ways that we can improve this and that and this and that. Part of the issues, shortcomings, challenges, opportunities is that for a long time, things have kind of been just done the same way. And here's an opportunity to really change things up. And if you're giving somebody autonomy to do it, who better than somebody who has worked in the actual production industry? It's not the TV industry. It's not the broadcast industry. It's the production of content. It's the presentation of content. There could be a number of different strategies. With all due respect to the people who work in the league office, what do any of them know about the integration of gambling and pro sports? Nothing. Well, here you have now somebody who's been front and center with both the NFL and a gambling partner, a CFL situation, not to mention all the other pro sports leagues, and you take best practices from each with intimate knowledge of what these sports books want to do, for instance, and start implementing them. The social media strategies, what have they really been from the league office? Next to none. from a strategic standpoint, another opportunity, especially with gambling partners and sponsors, because that's what networks have had to do lately. So I think there are so many different opportunities when you look at this can be improved, this can be improved, this can be changed, this can be tweaked, this can be, sanding some of the edges and putting a coat of varnish on it that can really improve things. And they don't take much sometimes, but just a different way of thinking about it.
Awesome.
Well, this opens up our week, our Thursday conversation and all that. I'm just reading about Stuart Christopher Johnson, 54-year-old. Interesting career. Started as an intern at TSN. I love those stories.
Yeah.
Right? Started grinding like Logan Furland, carpenter.
And I can confirm,
roster,
Barney,
junior.
Barney, I can now confirm that nobody reached out to me about I officially announced my candidacy for the position on this show, RP. I'm not sure if you were watching or listening that day, and nobody reached out.
Hey, this hasn't been ratified yet.
Yeah.
Hey,
but there you go.
Not yet. Maybe
until the ink is dry.
That's right.
Maybe it's an old-fashioned RE Gold bait and switch move.
Right.
It'll be fantastic. Okay, let's go NFL here. Owners are meeting. Owner meetings are happening. What are we going to see the elimination? And wasn't this Colson's call? But it was last year. We're going to see the elimination of the tush push.
You know what's amazing? The jealousy that goes on among pro sports GMs, coaches, and executives of teams. Like the Eagles have a move that nobody can stop. And so everyone's like, okay, we can't stop them, so let's make it illegal. Like the Bills tried it in the AFC Championship game and got stopped, right? Other teams have tried it, but the Eagles have mastered it, and they go on to win the Super Bowl. My question to you guys is if Philly had lost, I don't know, in the divisional playoff game, and they almost did to the Rams at home, if the Rams beat them, are we even having this conversation today at league meetings? Or is this a byproduct of Philly wins the Super Bowl, nobody can stop this play, and they haven't figured out how to coach him up to do it, so let's just make it illegal? I don't know.
There you go. Hey, another one of your favorite quarterbacks here. There doesn't seem to be many spots left open. Do you think Aaron Rodgers ends up with the Steelers?
I think so. Like it's like musical chairs, and the music ended about 2 hours ago, and he's just kind of still trying to get people's attention. Hey, I want to play. There's nowhere else. Art Rooney II basically came out today at the owners' meetings and suggested this is going to happen. But what I think is interesting here, Ryan, is outside of Kenny Pickett, who last year actually was the backup to Jalen Hurts and ran the tush push in Philly, outside of Kenny Pickett, the Steelers haven't been a team that really drafts quarterbacks in the first round. Part of it was because Roethlisberger was around forever, and he was a first-round pick. But this is a team that's, what do they invest in? Offensive line, defensive line, linebacker with their top picks. Rodgers feels like a stopgap move. Maybe it's a one-year situation, but I just think this is almost by necessity that I'm not sure either party wanted this to be the end result, but their hand kind of got forced in this situation.
If you're watching the stream, the whole role of Aaron Rodgers from last year completing passes is against the New England Patriots. The whole thing.
And highlight tape. Yeah.
Right.
It's okay. Yeah, we got it. Okay, baseball wise, hey, again, I'm a passive baseball, especially a Blue Jay fan. If anything, I'm more of a Red Stockings guy, but I was watching on the weekend, and then you were talking. Yeah, you were talking Matt Scherzer, right? Going to have a Blue Jay starting rotation, going to be their strength. Max Scherzer goes out, and then I'm like, what's his finger? And then it's tied to his lat, and now he's out. And I'm just like, come on, is this a real story?
So you bring a 40-something-year-old pitcher who had a thumb issue
He looks old too, by the way. Like Max looks like he's there's a lot of heavy miles.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max has become Wrinkled Max. Is that what you're saying? So, like, let's not go too far down the rabbit hole, none of us are doctors, right? But if you're a pitcher, do you think it's important that you're able to grip the baseball? Do you think that might be an important part? Like, do you think your thumb might have something to do with it? And he had a thumb issue last year. If you're watching the stream, you see his frustration. Here's a guy who he's just like, really? And when you start compensating because of the thumb, you change your mechanic altogether. And so the rest of the body starts to become a factor. And then his lat became an issue. So he's gone to see a hand specialist. He's either going to get or has gotten a cortisone shot in that thumb. And they're hoping that later this week he might be able to throw flat ground, and then who knows from there. But guys, stuff like this, when you're the age that Scherzer is, you just get this sense that it's going to be a lingering issue. And somebody asked him, one of the media members today asked him, is surgery even a thing? Because you have to think if there's surgery for this, that might be it for the season. He said it was talked about, but we're not even there yet. You just get the sense that that's $15.5 million that they had hoped was going to lead to something. And that's more than an ominous first start. That all signs are kind of pointing to this is going to be a problem all year long.
When you said he went to a hand specialist, I right away thought the Seinfeld episode of The Hand Model. I don't know why that has to come into my brain. What is with the bats in New York? What are the torpedo bats?
The torpedo bats. For those who haven't seen them, a hitter always says you got to get the barrel on the ball. That's where the power comes from.
Looks like a slow pitch bat if you squint.
Yeah. Kind of is, and it's almost like a bowling pin at the top of the bat. But this is another part that's interesting that nobody's really talked about. I was listening to Chad Mottola, the longtime Tampa Bay Rays hitting coach. He actually said that where your hands are is actually going to be a lot lighter. And so that gives you more control of the barrel of the bat on top of the power that you're going to get. And they have 6 different models, the Rays do, of this bat, and they're trying to figure things out. But guys, I get we live in a copycat world when it comes to sports. The kind of inventor of this bat was a Yankees coach last year who came from MIT. He's a physics major. He was putting physics together to say, okay, how can we expand the barrel of the bat from a size standpoint, since that's where all the power comes from? Our baseball teams, 15 years ago, started bringing finance people and economists in for their analytics. Is the next move going to the space? And I'm not even joking. Are they going to go to the space program and bring a bunch of people in and say, okay, what else can we do to find any kind of edge? What other, physics people are we going to bring in to do something like this?
Can we fix a thumb? How about that? How quick can we fix a thumb, which in turn fixes a lat, apparently? No, it was really, when I didn't know that he was from MIT. How did Boston let him get out of town with this information? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, and he's now with the Marlins. So if he can fix the Marlins, then that's being a
maybe he's like the monorail salesman, just going from town to town. Next up, Shelbyville. All right, let's go Thursday. Find out as much as you can on our boy Stewart. And let's see where this lands.
Finally, April, it appears. Training camp start next month.
Keep your phone on. Never say never.
Maybe he doesn't like The Office.
Just say, you just got to work.
Hey, I'll be his right hand man, RP.
Perfect.
And we'll bring you in to help out with football ops. We can make it all happen.
All right. Perfect. All right. See you, Arash.
See you, guys.
Coast to coast.